Hello students, welcome to La Excellence. Welcome to our 10th session of weekly magazine where we'll be focusing from 30th April to 6th May 2017. So let's see some of the major issues with respect to both prelims and mains during this particular week. So the first major issue that we need to see every week is with respect to an essay which was in news in that particular week. This week it was very important for us to focus about the economic reforms 2.0, where we are talking about the new economic agenda for India. Already we have one in 1991 which shifted from socialism to capitalism, which many people assume. So let's see what exactly your viewpoint about the new economic agenda for India would be. So after looking at that in paper 2, that is GS1, from culture point of view, we need to actually study Basava Jayanti. Basavanna, who was a 12th century philosopher, statesman and a Kannada poet, actually wrote, and he is popular for his Vasanas. His poems or whatever he wrote in different stanzas were actually called as Vasanas, and Narendra Modi released it in 23 Indian languages. If this was not done, the issue wouldn't have been much relevance. But as today it is translated into 23 volumes, high possibility from art and culture point of view, they may ask you some questions with respect to Basavanna and also the people who were related with Vachanas. So let's see what are those points which are important for us from prelims point of view. So as I told you, Basavanna was 12th century philosopher, statesman and a Kannada poet. The most important fact that you need to remember is actually with respect to the dynasty, Kalachuri dynasty, King Bijala I in Karnataka. Basavanna spread social awareness through his poetry, popularly known as Vachanas. You need to understand, different people had different points. For example, when you talk about a particular community or particular art and culture, it may be with respect to religion. But Basavanna was actually associated with social awareness. In each one of his Vachana, he used to say something to the society, what they have to do just to ensure that they are moving in the right path. If you actually look at the collective awareness which was built by Basavanna during his period, he introduced some institutions from where different people also were associated with writing the Vachanas. He was not the only person, but along with him, some of his followers or also some of his colleagues came together and they actually set up Anubhava Mantapa, which welcomed men and women from all socio-economic backgrounds to discuss spiritual and mundane questions of life in open. And he was a leader of Veerashaivas. Now you have a community in Karnataka, or ardent heroic worshippers of Shiva. This movement shared its roots in the ongoing Tamil Bhakti movement, particularly the Shaiva Nayanars traditions over the 7th to 11th century. So these facts may be asked here. What you need to know is one about the dynasty, second Vachanas, third Anubhava Mantapa is associated with whom. They may ask you directly. So please be prepared with that. Then you have to talk about the Veerashaiva communities, right? So if you can look at these factors carefully, it is more than enough. Then when we look at some of the recent things which is associated with the Basavanna, Basaveshwara is the first Kannadiga in whose honor a commemorative coin has been minted in recognition of his social reforms. So this is very important for us to study some of the interesting facts with respect to this person, right? So let's quickly move to the next paper. The next important issue is actually with respect to India-Sri Lanka relationship, where we'll be talking about building holistic ties with our important neighbor, island neighbor, which is actually a jewel in Indian Ocean, where not only India, but almost all the foreign powers at different points of time has tried to put their influence in the country so that they can get naval bases in Sri Lanka. But Sri Lanka has actually been closer to India and has always stayed with India in its times of trouble, and also India has supported Sri Lanka in almost all major issues. But there are some differences mainly during the Rajapakse's era. Now you have Maitripala Sirisena, who is actually close to India, and he has promised that Sri Lanka would remain pro-India. And you have also seen recently that Narendra Modi visited Sri Lanka. So again, there is improving ties between India and Sri Lanka. Whenever we actually look at India-Sri Lanka relationship, we actually come across some of the major issues like fishermen issue, Kachativu Islands, 13th Amendment, Sri Lankan Tamils issue, Indian Tamils issue. So we need to understand each one in detail. For this, we have planned to make IR sessions separately where we'll be giving you a background information about each and every country that is there with which India has good relations and which is important from international relations point of view. And as it is important from mains point of view, we will be focusing mainly from prelims point of view as of now. So in this magazine, we are actually talking about building holistic ties. Whenever we talk about holistic ties, you should remember first is actually with respect to defense. Second is economic relationship. Third is cultural relationship. Fourth is science and technology, or we can say that educational relationship, giving scholarship to each other, right? These kind of things. Then comes your people to people contact, right? And today we are living in an era where there is a need for the countries to come together to fight against certain global problems which are common for all the countries. That is, for example, you take climate change. Climate change is one of the major issues that we have to focus. The second important issue that we need to see is actually with respect to terrorism. Then third important issue is cyber warfare. So here what I'm trying to say is, in this we try to see how good the relationship between one country and the other country is. For example, India and Sri Lanka is planning for trilateral maritime agreement which is already in focus. We are also focusing to set up it with Mauritius as well. Now it is India, Sri Lanka, Maldives. Now we want to set up it with Mauritius as well. So when we talk about defense, we can talk about the maritime cooperation. When we are talking about economic, we are thinking of free trade agreement. We have already signed one, but we want to go for SECA, SEPA, or also try to improve it. Then when it comes to cultural, we talk about Buddhism, right? And then when we talk about education and people to people contact, we talk about how exactly India can help Sri Lanka in providing technology which is required for them. It may be with respect to investments or infrastructure or anything. At the same time, when we are actually talking, we talk about some of the issues which India and Sri Lanka can come together and address. That is, one with respect to climate change. Second, how exactly India and Sri Lanka should deal with terrorism. Third, warfare, right? Then fourth important thing you can talk is, where is India and Sri Lanka cooperating? You can talk about SARC, right? You can talk about BIMSTEC. You can talk about all those organizations where India and Sri Lanka are present together and they are actually ensuring that there will be good relations, not just between India and Sri Lanka, but also with almost all the countries in the region. When we are talking about Sri Lanka, we also have to include about the South Asian satellite. But as I told you guys, there are some issues where we have to go in depth. If I just tell the names, it's not enough. I have to spend at least 45 minutes in explaining you what actually happened between India and Sri Lanka before. For that, a proper separate notes will be provided to you. And as I have promised, all international relations will be provided from mains point of view immediately after prelims. Now there is a tendency that most of the students may not watch it and they may forget also. So we have a plan for you to cover international relations, especially for those at least who have registered with us. We will be providing you comprehensively how exactly you should read international relations and what type of questions can come. We have seen that IR is completely current affairs based, where we will be explaining those concepts in detail. Then the next important issue is actually with respect to Ankara, that is Turkey, right? Turkey's president visit to India. This was a close moment but also a most controversial moment. The reason for this is economically India and Turkey is coming closer. We are planning to increase the number of products on which we are doing trade. In economic terms, I can say that now India and Turkey want to increase the amount of foreign exchange that used to happen between India and Turkey. Whether it would be in favor of India or it would be in favor of Turkey based on the components that they are actually exchanging. But as you're all aware, Turkey is very important for any country because of its location. The reason for this is this acts as a gateway for most of Asian countries to reach to Europe and also for European countries to reach to Asia. But Turkey is closer to India when it comes to its strategic location and some of the global issues concerned. But it is much closer to Pakistan because of its religious affiliations. And because of this particular issue, even though we have good relations with Turkey, we need to see what are the complications between India and Turkey when it comes to some of the major issues where Pakistan is involved. The Turkey president who came recently, he actually told that the issue in India where terrorism is involved is only in Naxal affected areas. Whereas India said that issue of Jammu and Kashmir is also associated with terrorism, where the Turkey feels that the Kashmir issue is mostly associated with freedom struggle and it takes the stance of Pakistan, where Pakistan also says that Kashmir issue needs to be solved at the multilateral forum, that is either United Nations or any of the global bodies. But India have always maintained that it is a bilateral issue. Even China recently said that Kashmir is a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan and it has to be settled at the bilateral level itself. So this is one issue. The second one is actually with respect to the NSG issue, where India's membership is concerned. Along with China, even Turkey is saying that only if Pakistan is given membership, then India should be given membership. Why should Pakistan and India be treated differently? Whereas India says that we have never violated any of the international norms and India is never involved in proliferation of nuclear weapons to any countries. Whereas Pakistan is involved in proliferation of nuclear weapons to countries like Libya, North Korea and Iran as well. Many say Saudi Arabia is also involved. So India says that when you actually compare India with Pakistan, it's not fair. But Turkey's stance with respect to India's entry into NSG is also different. The third major one is United Nations Security Council. Whichever country's presidents and prime ministers come to India, they always tell in open that yes, they support India. But actually when you look at Turkey, they are actually part of a group which says that no, there shouldn't be any United Nations Security Council's expansion. And they are actually part of Uniting for Consensus, where they actually oppose expansion of the permanent membership in the Security Council, which also includes Turkey. So if India has to improve its relations with Turkey, then we have to reach out to it economically and culturally, or on the basis of terrorism and other issues, they are much closer to Pakistan. But from this region, we have one more friend who is very close to India and who is always supportive to India, not just in terms of cultural aspects or support from outside, but they're also involved in joint production where Indian Prime Minister is planning to visit. But this week, the issue was not with respect to Indian Prime Minister's visit, but it was actually with respect to Hamas, one terrorist group within the country which was actually trying to say, yes, we accept that Israel exists. So let's see what exactly is the issue about Israel. In this, we actually come to see that Hamas have actually said that they recognize Israel indirectly by stating that the boundary which they actually talk about Palestine is in the present form of West Bank, which is not in the West, Gaza and Golan Heights. Right? That is, they are actually talking about Gaza, West Bank and Golan Heights are actually part of Palestine, and they say that we are accepting the new boundary. And this was considered by majority of the people that Hamas has said that they have agreed Israel is present or Israel's existence is accepted by Hamas. This is what majority of the people actually felt. But the president or prime minister of Israel came out and he said that Hamas' main goal is to eliminate Israel completely. They want to kill Jews. So if that is the case, the charter is useless, is what the present president's opinion is about. So for you, from prelims point of view, you need to remember Hamas is actually associated with Israel and Palestine. Kurds are actually associated with Syria, Turkey, and they're also present in Iraq and Iran. Baluch people are actually associated with Pakistan. They may ask you, match the following about these issues. Then the next major issue of the week is actually with respect to SARC satellite. High possibility there can be a question about this either in prelims or mains. In prelims, when they actually ask you, it may be with respect to factual data, that is, which satellite was launched. Geostationary communication satellite. Pakistan actually says that this is a spy satellite, but no, this satellite particularly is not a spy satellite, and many say that India already have a spy satellite, but this particular one is communication satellite. And the main structure of the satellite is cuboid in shape around a central cylinder with a mission life of 12 years. This factual informations can be asked. They may change this 12 years to forever. The satellite weighs a massive 2230 kg and it has 12 Ku band transponders. According to ISRO, GSLV F09 mission is the 11th flight of GSLV and its 4th consecutive flight with the indigenous cryogenic upper stage. All this factual information can be important from prelims point of view. The satellite will provide a significant capability to each of the participating countries when it comes to DTH, VSAT capacity, plus linking among states for both disaster information and also in terms of library type of thing. That is to store the data related to disaster or anything that is actually required. Most importantly, we can say the SARC satellite is important from DTH, communications and also from disaster management point of view. Apart from Pakistan, all other countries will be benefited from this satellite. The next important issue is actually with respect to food fortification to tackle malnutrition. What is the meaning of this? We all know that India has a lot of malnourished kids and also mothers. So to ensure that quality food is provided to almost all the people, it is not possible to provide sometimes some important minerals that is actually required for these people. So for that, the best method is to ensure that some micronutrients are added or enriched into the food which people usually take. For example, increasing the iodine content to salt. So, what is food fortification can be a question in both prelims and also mains, right? The most important thing is it's very simple, trying to add micronutrients which are very important for the children and also for the malnourished people, so that they don't die of diseases where these micronutrients are very important, or they also suffer from these diseases. So this is actually with respect to fortification of eatables, right? So what exactly is the benefit? Fortification is a low cost solution for nutritional deficiency. It can address the problem quickly, and so are speedy remedial measures. So, but some problems are standards for fortification need to be clearly stated first. One of the major problem is anything when we think in science and tech is good, there will be negatives from that. Fortification is not a substitute to balanced diet. We also have to focus about a balanced diet. Then we have to think about the cost, which is cheaper now, and it has to be cheap for all the micronutrients, not only for this. We have also given some of the important factors or numbers with respect to malnourishment problem, where World Bank data indicates that India has one of the world's highest demographics of children suffering from malnourishment, and even the Global Hunger Index gives India a rank of 97 out of 118 nations, which is actually worst when it compares to North Korea or Sudan as well. Right? So fortification requires neither changes in the existing food patterns or habits, but once it comes out, we will be understanding the taste and the other things as well. So whether it is safe, cost effective and all are some of the facts which the scientists are actually talking about, but we are not sure what exactly is happening with this until and unless it comes. So there are different reports talking about this differently, but as of now, you should just remember food fortification. And whenever you're talking about malnourishment, you should also talk about food fortification as one of the probable solutions. Then the next important topic is actually about the equity in taxes, where there is a proposal to tax agricultural income. And when we are talking about agricultural income, agriculture comes under state and it is up to the states to decide. So the Niti Aayog has actually told that please ensure that the rich and the poor farmers are treated differently, and at least the rich farmers should be taxed. But as there is a lot of politics involved in it, it is very difficult for you to get a question about should there be taxes on agriculture. But what is more important for us actually is with respect to whether we can put tax on agriculture or not. Is it completely exempted or not? So this type of questions can be asked. Consider the following statements with respect to taxation on agriculture. So after demonetization, we have seen that many people have put their money in farmers' account as the farmers need not pay the taxes. So here you just need to know that agricultural taxes were not there in India, only on few crops, not for entire thing you will put taxes, but for some commercial crops, yes, there is certain taxes, but not. So if they give you a question that there is no tax on agriculture at all, then the statement becomes wrong. But if they say apart from few commercial crops, there is a bar on taxing agriculture in almost all the states of the country, then the statement becomes correct, right? So please be careful about these statements. Then the next important issue which can come in prelims is actually with respect to Banganapalli mangoes, which has got the GI tag. Right, geographical indicator tag. Whenever any product gets GI tag, they will actually get legal protection for those particular products. That is, if it is produced in a particular geographical area, then only a particular name can be given. Now, if these mangoes are produced anywhere else And if they have to be called as Banganapalli mangoes, then the geographical indicator tag which is given to this provides legal protection to these farmers to claim for their rights, so that the mangoes will not be termed as Banganapalli mangoes, which is grown in other areas apart from the geography which has been mentioned, right? So the second thing is, it prevents unauthorized use of the tag. For example, when we take something like Tirupati Laddu and all, wherever they produce the laddu, they may call it as Tirupati Laddus. So to give that if anyone uses this particular geographical name because it is popular, basmati rice or so, to avoid it, the geographical indicator status is actually given. It helps consumers also to get quality products which they want to choose because it is associated with a particular variety name, and it promotes economic prosperity of producers of these GI tags so that they can make money. They can also go for organic and many other usages, and it will also benefit them as they have preserved this variety from such a long time. It's very important for us to look at IPRs, whether it is from prelims or mains. They may ask you what are the benefits with respect to GI, copyright or anything. So guys, please be aware of this particular factors. Then the last important issue of the week is actually with respect to entire Assam being declared as disturbed areas. Whenever we call something to be a disturbed area, then there can be AFSPA rule there. That is, there will be military rule where the law and order will be controlled by military along with the state police forces as well. It is very important to ensure that wherever there is insurgency, something like Jammu and Kashmir, Khalistan movement in Punjab, northeastern some of the states, whenever there were insurgency activities, then we used to observe that AFSPA was actually implemented in those regions. In Assam, when we say, we have Ulfa groups, we have Bodo groups, and we have several other small groups which are also present, Nagas and all, who are willing to fight against the central government and also against the state government for their own rights. So as these acts or activities were actually increasing, the central government has actually declared the entire area of Assam as disturbed area. So this is a controversial one. So UPSC will not ask you any question with respect to this. But what is more important for you is, they may ask you which of the following states were recently considered to be a disturbed area. So you have to say it is Assam. And then the second important thing in prelims can be with respect to what exactly is a disturbed area. The state or central government, if they consider that some areas are disturbed by reason of differences or disputes between members of different religious, racial, language or regional groups or castes or communities, then we call something to be a disturbed. Then how a region can be declared to be disturbed? Next important question is, how can Section 3 of the AFSPA empowers the governor of the state or union territory to issue an official notification following which the center has the authority to send in armed forces for the civilian aid? Once declared disturbed, the region has to maintain status quo for a minimum of 3 months. This particular fact is also important. According to the Disturbed Area Special Codes Act 1976, the state governments can suggest whether the act is required to be enforced or not, but under Section 3 of the act, their opinion can be overruled by the governor or the center. Usually this is very, very important in states like Jammu and Kashmir, where the state government sometimes they don't want to go under the governor rule or AFSPA. They don't want to call some areas to be disturbed even though there are terror attacks or insurgency in those areas, right? So it's very, very important for us to understand here that whenever the state government's law and order cannot be ensured because of the civilian police who are not equipped or trained to fight against these insurgency groups, at that point of time they can actually take help from the central government, and Assam has taken this from the central government by calling itself to be a disturbed areas. So please just try to ensure that you are knowing about these factual data. So guys, this week we actually saw one with respect to Basavanna, which is important from prelims point of view. Least possibility they may be asked in mains, but as there is 23 languages in which the Vasanas are being translated, the issue becomes important for you. The second important issue is international relations, where whether it is with respect to Sri Lanka, Turkey or even Israel. It is very important for us to see from both world history and IR point of view, which we will be seeing after prelims. This is our promise. We'll be seeing almost all the countries, specifically from India's point of view after prelims, right? Then the third important thing that you need to focus is actually with respect to geographical indicator tag and the disturbed areas. These are some of the major things which were important from traditional areas point of view, but from science and technology, whether it is the definition of food fortification or if we are talking about the SARC satellite, all these issues can be asked in prelims. This week magazine is important from prelims point of view, so please go through this. Next, you have a case study that is given here, so please go through this carefully once. You can actually write and send it to us. So guys, lot of people are actually asking where exactly we have to get these magazines. So please look at the comment section. Immediately we will be posting the link. You can go there, register and get the magazines. So the PDFs for the monthly is also available for those who register. We will send it through mails. Right guys? So whatever is required, please feel free to contact us. If there is any queries, please ask us quickly so that we can actually help you out before prelims, right? So we will be releasing geography through maps in first week of June. The reason being, now the One Belt One Road Summit or the Chinese Summit is happening and we want to take some information from that as well. This year is more about the corridors as well. So as we can cover majority of the questions and prelims, we're just waiting for that. So till June 1st, we will be providing you Jan and Feb current affairs as well. From March onwards, we actually have the weekly magazines. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching.